What's up, everybody? Brett here, and it's go time, y'all. Total War Warhammer 2's The Hunter and the Beast has finally dropped as of, for me, about 10 minutes ago. And I am stoked, guys. This is going to be my first campaign that I'm going to be able to bring you guys on my YouTube channel, and I am so excited about it. Last time when the Pirates dropped, I tried to do a Luther Harkin campaign, but my laptop couldn't handle it, sadly. But we're on the new rig, and we should be able to chew this campaign up and spit it out. So let's go ahead and start a new campaign. We're going to do the Eye of the Vortex, and as you probably already guessed by the thumbnail, we are going to be doing Markus Wulfhart. And in future streams, which I hope to bring you guys very soon, I'm planning on doing, I think at this point, feel free to let me know in the comment section what you would prefer. But I'm thinking of doing an Nakai the Wanderer, either Eye of the Vortex because it is such a unique campaign for him, or perhaps doing him on the Mortal Empires campaign where he starts in Albion, which I think will be a super unique and interesting beginning to a campaign. But anyway, guys, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into the Eye of the Vortex. I'm also very excited to get back to the Vortex because the turn times, for one, are incredibly short comparatively. And I haven't had a reason really to do these campaigns because Mortal Empires for me is much more compelling. But check these guys out. Awesome. And then of course Gorok. Don't forget, guys, if you're playing along at home, if you have this game, Gorok comes separately. You have to go ahead and download him separately. So feel free to do that. It is free. He's the FLC Lord. And honestly, one of the Lords I've been waiting the longest to have in the game. But sadly, his implementation to me is just a tiny bit lackluster. He is super cool though, and I'm happy he made it in. It's hard to complain about free stuff, so I don't think I'm gonna do it.
Never waver.
Never waver, he says. But Markus Wulfhart, the man of the hour. Our faction is going to be the Hunts Marshals Expedition. It's considered a hard start, and from what I've seen other YouTubers do who did have early access, I unfortunately did not. But I tried to not watch other people play because I didn't want the experience to be spoiled for me. So if you see me make some goofy moves or whatever, it's because I didn't spend the last, 10 days watching other people play. But I'm going to do my best. I like to play on hard. I think that's probably the fairest mix of AI buffs. And for me, hard is kind of like normal difficulty. If I want to challenge myself a little bit, I'll go to very hard. But I'll find myself pretty quickly in situations where the AI is just pumping out unreasonable stacks, and then I'm just grinding, and then it becomes a lot less fun. But yeah, feel free to play on whatever you'd like. We do have a hard difficulty, and that is, I think, because not only his position is sort of precarious here on the coast, but also because of all the limitations. And these are the things that got me the most excited about playing this campaign. It's all of the different limitations. Your handicap for the entire campaign, you're relying on reinforcements to bolster your army. And our roster is going to be limited, as it says here from the beginning. Hostile actions will result in retaliation from local factions, but will empower our own armies. We get bonuses to recruitment ranks for the Huntsman Generals, but our diplomatic relations are, of course, super poor with the Lizardmen. And our Lord effects, we're going to be wanting to try and ambush as much as we can, especially when we're fighting against superior stacks. I think Lightning Strike is going to be a very important thing for him. Will probably let us kind of walk through this campaign handily. But also the upkeep reduction for archers and huntsmen, of which we have 2 in our starting army, of minus 50%. So the game's kind of telling you what you should do. Right off the bat, it's like, man, get as many huntsmen as you can and go dino hunting. But yeah, we're going to try and keep our stacks cheap. This is my first jump in, guys. I haven't even done a dry run or anything like that, and I am super excited to get into it. And off to the left here, it shows us kind of the Emperor's mandate. So, receive the Emperor's acclaim by advancing the Empire's cause in Lustria, leading to the provision of better quality units to reinforce the expedition. We have Wulfhart's Hunters, attain the services of some of the finest hunters who have ever lived. This is something that I'm incredibly excited about. I love having cross-race heroes, lords, all those type of things in my army. I love it. And we'll get more into that as we start. And then a well-rounded unit roster with a wide range of magical lores and war machines. Yeah, let's jump in and watch the cutscenes. I'm not going to talk.
The jungle continent of Lustria lies west across the great ocean. The first men to land upon these shores ransacked an ancient temple, filling their ships with golden treasures. Word spread of their wealth, and others were eager to follow. Fueled by greed, men of the Empire ventured deeper into the jungle's heart. The land of beasts, ravaged and plundered for its riches. It will not be without consequence. The jungle stirs. A cold-blooded fury rising to punish the invaders. In the temple cities of Lustria, the lizard men enact a ritual to call upon their mighty guardian. For the Wanderer roams Lustria once more. The spirit of the jungle made manifest. A reckoning has come. Only the strongest will survive the coming bloodshed.
Awesome. Basically, the lizardmen woke up Dad. So Markus Wulfhart has dutifully answered the Emperor's call. The Empire's Lustrian settlements have recently fallen victim to a series of savage raids from an elusive attacker. The men of the colonies have long known about the strange, upright walking reptiles that dominate the continent, but the monstrous spirit they claim is now tormenting them threatens to bring about an end to imperial expansions in the New World. Fortunately, the Hunts Marshal specializes in tracking the untrackable. The hunt is on. Here we go. I was kind of worried that my computer would load this so quickly that I wouldn't be able to read it. But that is okay. You guys can always pause it through the power of YouTube and read anything that I don't.
Having voyaged across the great ocean on the Emperor's command, I shall tame this jungle-infested continent and plunder it for the treasures it holds. The near unimaginable wealth of these lands is dispatched home through the coastal colonies. But recent raids by the lizard beasts have set the Empire back, and I expect further attacks. Other enemies loom nearby. Savage orcs, no less, who raid nearby abandoned cities. These ancient places are sure to harbor more riches, so are prime locations for colonization. But we must be aware that the lizard beasts dominate these jungles. For our colonies to survive their threat, reinforcements will be needed from home. The time of opportunity is now. Lustria and its dangers await. Anything that stands before me in the hope of defeating the Empire will meet its end by my bow. It is the Emperor's will.
Alright. Nice little speech there from Markus. And here we go, how they play. So guys, I'm going to treat this playthrough as if most of you are fairly new. I'm trying myself. I've played thousands and thousands of hours of this game, and that's not an exaggeration, between Warhammer 1 and 2. I'm trying to recapture that love, right? And part of that is to slow down and read, right? You got to read, you got to listen to the voice actors, you got to get into it, right? And if I just click through everything, it's going to feel like business as usual, and I'm going to get bored with the campaign. I don't want that to happen. So bear with me as I read certain things. If it's redundant to you, if it's stuff you already know, feel free to fast forward a little bit and get to the juicy parts. So the Emperor's Mandate. Sent to the shores of Lustria by Imperial Mandate, Markus Wulfhart intends to protect the New World colonies from their Lustrian predators, with only limited supplies and troop numbers, as further reinforcements will not arrive from the Old World for quite some time. However, increasing the expedition's acclaim by raiding the jungles and expanding your territory into them will lead to better quality troops dispatched in your Imperial supplies to further aid the expedition. Good. So we're dealing with these bars up top. So this is our hostility meter, which, dictates tons of different stuff. We start getting public order penalties, the enemies get stronger and more leadership, but we also get better supplies dispatched. So, toward the end here, we're getting steam tanks and stuff. Whereas, toward the beginning, we're probably getting state troops. And as we, increase our standing with the Empire, we start getting better supplies as well, and better ranks for those supplies, and we unlock different buildings that we can build in our own colonies. So hostility, we have a lot to read, so bear with me. The lands beyond the Empire are a hostile place. Your actions there will not go unnoticed by the natives. Winning offensive battles and harassing local inhabitants will increase their hostility towards you, but also improve your standing with the Emperor and increase the rate at which the Imperial supplies reach the expedition. Cross the locals too much, though, and face their wrath. And this is the part that I can't wait to get into this. Wulfhart's Hunters. So scattered across the world are some of the finest hunters to have ever lived. Track them down and secure their services to complete the expedition's goals, whilst developing each hunter's unique attributes and learning of their past glories and tragedies. I am excited. And then we get our halfling advisor? I don't know, our cook, I guess? Barry Drury. I saw this picture and I laughed the first time. His poor teeth. So capture and occupy a settlement belonging to the following faction. We're going to go over here to Chotek, no doubt. And the description is, Hunts Marshal, there are monstrous reptiles inhabiting a settlement close by. Our colonies will struggle to survive while they threaten us. Their removal is crucial. That sounds like pretty important advice coming from a cook. But it is good advice. So, taking a quick look at our surroundings here. The map is beautiful. So happy to be able to play this on like all the different ultra settings. We've got some treasure, a shipwreck right off the coast. We have Gentleman Jenkins here as a roving band. Skeggy's up here doing their thing. They're going to be in contention for the most part with Hexoatl, and we really want to make friends with these guys if we can. We've got Savage Orcs to our west. They could end up being a pretty huge problem at some point. I don't know how aggressive they'll be, but if they're at war with the Lizardmen, then we could very easily find ourselves allies. And of course, the major city for this area is going to be Tlaxlan, which is going to be spawning stacks, I have no doubt. And there are other Lizardmen close by. If you've never seen the map before, check it out. We are in the New World. And yeah, so there we go. Let's check out our starting army. And let's zoom in a little bit. Super cool. We've got one spearman with shields, two swordsmen, a huntsman for some anti-large, ranged firepower, 160 range, and then we have the archers that are only 120. They suck, but they're only 44 upkeep, which you'll see in the top left. And then what will probably become quickly my favorite unit in the game, the war wagons. They have huge upkeep though, 263. That's quite a bit. And our income here isn't great, 1,700, but we've got enough, I think, to do what we want to do. Ports have been nerfed, and they're looking to fix this. I went through a lot of Reddit posts. They were talking about, it's like a community, ask your questions and they'll answer them. A Q&A is what I'm looking for. And they basically said they feel like they did over-nerf ports. So maybe in future patches they'll change that. Let's see what we have access to. We can recruit archers, free company militia, spearmen. Okay. We're probably going to want to recruit some archers, but first things first, we're going to have to take out Rambutan. And yeah, we'll do that in just a second. Diplomacy, technology, Wulfhart's Hunters. Wulfhart's Hunters, we're going to get into that in a second. Let's go ahead and check out diplomacy. Probably won't be trading with any Dark Elves. So diplomacy in this game is a little wonky. It's not as good as it could be. Horde faction, Spirit of the Jungle, that's Nakai's faction. But by that I mean, in order for me to play optimally, I would probably have to... Yeah, let's get that. I would have to... You know what? They seem to really want that. Let's see if we can get a military access. Okay. That was a little ambitious. Maybe we can get about 300 gold off of this. Maybe they'll just give us this. But you see how much I have to play with it? Honestly, I could do this almost every single turn. We could wait and try and get some gold out of this agreement. They're not going to like us any less in the future. So let's just wait a turn. We don't need military access right now. But, you know, if I was playing like an Empire campaign, I would probably be every single turn going through every single faction and trying to get better and bigger trade agreements. Or, you know, different agreements that they might pay me for in the future. So now we've got them heading, you know, towards the right direction in terms of how much they like us. But now, technology, we got to pick something to unlock. And I wanted to take a second here for those of you who haven't seen this tree, the newly designed Empire technology tree. I haven't really seen it either myself. I've seen other people play a little bit. So it's kind of why you see I instantly went towards this, because I know this is kind of like the growth, public order, income from settlements. This is how you make money and stabilize your empire here. And the lines at the top are going to be for all the different types of units in the game. So we can get leadership, weapon strength for infantry. Let's just quickly go through them. 15 armor for all infantry units is awesome. That's really good. Man, combine that with Balthazar Gelt's campaign passive, and you've got something there. Okay, good stuff for Cav. Vigor reduction loss is one of those kind of unsung heroes. Missile resistance, missile damage. So missiles are probably going to play a pretty big part in this because, you know, with our reduction to upkeep on hunters, or huntsmen rather, and archers, I can see our stacks probably consisting of quite a few of them. So having extra ammunition, well, it's an increase to reload time, but it's an increase to the reduction. So it's a little funny to say that. But 15% missile damage by 10%, and then more missile damage for our more mobile units. That's okay. So income from industry, research rate 10%. I love rushing research rate just because over a very long campaign, it can come in handy. But 10% is honestly not that much. Construction time being lowered, that's cool. Okay, I don't think we'll be rushing this at all. But I do like getting, at some point, hero capacity increase so we can have more heroes. This seems important as well. I wonder how important, though. Casualty replenishment rate is amazing. Public order, of course, is good. Construction costs for ports, that's terrible. Receive an additional detachment of reinforcements with every Imperial supplies delivery. So we'll be getting double the units. Oh my gosh, that seems powerful. I want these three. I want these here. Let's see what else we have. So recruitment rank +2 for infantry units. Tradable resources. I don't know how much trade we're going to be able to do. We're not exactly surrounded by friendlies. And then down here we have these diplomatic missions. So, I mean, this seems like it would be worth it. It's $7 grand to unlock these, though, but to make sure that all men like us. And they aren't on the map, but I guess that might dictate some of the events that happen later on. But anyway, guys, I think it's pretty smart to go tithe rebates. Let's get our public order stable. We are playing on hard, so you kind of get like an automatic negative penalty to public order. And it says a rebate is a useful tool when things are good to ensure compliance during the inevitable hard times just around the corner. Yeah, let's lock that in. Plus growth will help us to actually grow our empire. I'll probably recruit some units here soon, but because this is a two-part province, I might sell this and relocate it to Chotek. But I'm seeing here now it has pastures plus a port. And then if I add in, see, now I'm rethinking. And if I add in a gatehouse or, you know, a garrison building, then I'm not going to have room for this. So if that's the case, then let's just start it. If we need to cancel it, we have 2 turns to do that. And then one more thing, guys, before we actually get into the action. We have our hunters here. So from the very little campaign playthroughs that I watched, you can get these guys super early. So we've got a really sweet witch hunter. We've got a dwarven engineer. We've got an elven, a wood elf waystalker, and a Bretonnian paladin, all of which we can unlock. But it says you have to do certain things to get them unlocked. And the first thing that we're going to need to do, from what I saw, is to declare war on the Vampire Coast mutineers. which we should be able to see very soon. And from there, it's kind of a snowball effect. We just have to move someone to the northern spine of Sotek, which we can show is down here. So kind of far away. We can, what else do we have to do? Raise hostility level to very hostile. So we need to win a few battles, which we'll do in short order. And then after that, we also need to move someone about here-ish. I can't see it yet, but we'll be able to see it in just a second. But anyway, guys, without any further ado, let's go ahead and win our first battle. Maybe should have warmed up my fighting. I always quick save before battles. It's a habit, and I think it's a good one, especially if you may experience computer problems. For a while, I was for a long time. But they have a Feral Bastiladon, which we will focus with our Huntsman. You bet your butts. And just some skinks. The Saurus Warriors are going to be a pain. I can't wait, guys. But yeah, I was thinking, like, maybe I should have done a warm-up battle just to get my fingers ready for using all my hotkeys and stuff. And you'll see, guys, my play style, that's what I'm trying to say, is pretty different from a lot of other people, a lot of other YouTubers. And I don't often do live battles. If you watch my channel, you've seen that I do multiplayer battles pretty often. But you don't ever really get to see it from a live perspective. So you don't get to see me making my hot groups. I'll try my best to talk myself through some of these decisions that I make. That way you guys and me will all be on the same page. And you'll know, you know, especially if you're a newer player, why certain things make sense and why I do them, and I'm not just an idiot. Okay, so one of the first things I like to do is check the terrain, right? This is a nice hill. It's got a commanding view. It's got some terrain here to my left if I want to use that to block out some enemies. I usually make my front line first and give them a bit of a hot group. Let's use the spearmen to try and protect our flanks. Archers do not have Vanguard deployment, so we'll put them here, hot group 3. We'll back them up a little bit just to make sure they're not that much in danger of getting run up on. Wulfhart does have Vanguard deployment, so do the Hunters, or the Huntsmen. I'm probably going to keep calling them Hunters. It's an annoying slip of the tongue here. What we're a little bit worried about, these skinks are very fast. So are the Feral Bastiladon. So we want a Vanguard deploy to the point where we can attack them right off the bat, but not to the point, like, we don't want to put these guys right here, because we're going to get off 2 volleys. The skink javelins are going to throw a volley, poison us, and then we're going to be so slow that we're not going to be able to run back to our lines. So you gotta kind of anticipate these things. We don't want to get shot by them at all, actually. I would love to shoot these Saurus Warriors, but they're smartly keeping them in reserve. If we put these guys here and then put Markus at the top of this hill, we should have line of sight on the Bastiladon, and we should be able to hit it. And also, I mean, we could take an angle like this. This is fine. Let's put them in a hot group together. And then we'll also bring up our war wagons here. And we'll use them to kind of kite and shoot. They have a 360 degree. They fire while moving. Let's go ahead and check out the models. This may be the first time some of you guys have seen them. They've got barded war horses in the front. There's 6 dudes back here with these awesome repeater rifles. And I am playing on ultra unit sizes, so there are 4 of them as opposed to 3, which is what you'll see a lot of times on the multiplayer games when you play with other people. So the Huntsmen here, they have this green color scheme. Like I said, a big part of their damage is going to be their anti-large. And we can look at the stats here. So they have a bonus versus large of 8. So raising their missile damage and some decent armor piercing as well for archer units. And then the standard archers, we can go ahead and zoom over to them. They have this more black color scheme. Their damage is very low. They have really no bonuses to anything. So you just kind of want to use them to trade with unarmored units and unshielded units and do your best. Alright. And then Markus Wulfhart, the man of the hour. Let's go ahead and zoom in on him, lest we forget. A man of great stature with an awesome goatee. And right now, he's got focus shot. So, I saw a lot of people in multiplayer games struggling to use this ability. It's scaled versus targets missing a lot of health. So you want to use this on units that are like maybe sitting at 30% HP, and you will just chunk them down to nothing. But it has a pretty fickle line of sight, and this is also important to know about him. So we can fire in a 360 while moving. He has stalk, so he probably won't be visible once the battle starts. Of course, immune to psychology, missile resistance, all that good stuff that lords normally have, but he also has fleet-footed. So this will help him to escape from combat If someone gets within 70 meters of him, he will be able to run away. So that's pretty important. And let's move him up as kind of as far as we can, maximize our range. And yeah, without any further ado, guys, I'll move the unit cards for now. And wish me luck. And we'll try and take some shots. The lip of this hill is kind of annoying. But with archers, we should be able to hit them. And if we rampage the Pharaoh Bastillodon right off the bat, that'll be good. So we're going to try and come over here. I don't want to get tagged by these skink cohorts. They are also shielded. You know what? Let's bring the unit cards out so you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about as I talk. And now we want to run them back. So that's enough of that. We'll move our spearmen up here to potentially screen. And then we're not worried about Markus. Let's also take that off. We're not worried about Markus. We'll take off their skirmish mode. And now we are getting poisoned. So I gotta get used to talking while playing as well. Haven't done that in a while. But we don't really even want our war wagons shooting at the javelins. And if we end up getting caught, we're going to have to move our entire formation forward, which we'll do here. Don't get caught, don't get caught. Get our spearmen in there. No. Oh, man. Yeah, they're very slow. But the spearmen should be able to screen out. And we'll stop these lizardmen from wrecking us. In the meantime, though, Markus should be shooting as he runs. And I would like to get those guys. Let's bring our swordsmen up. And our archers as well. So yeah, I think I just underestimated their speed. Won't do that again. But that's kind of how I want to use the huntsman. And I don't mind. The Pharaoh Bastillodon doesn't do a lot of damage. And now that he's rampaged, he'll be even easier to take down. And the archers are going to go after the Saurus warriors. And if I can, I'm going to do like a little bit of a flank denial here. Let's keep them all in this one spot. And once we put a ton of damage on this guy, we'll turn around and try and snipe him with focus shot. Yeah, and he's knocking me over, which is kind of annoying. Yeah, let's run past this Saurus Scarvet. We don't really want to fight him, or this Old Blood, rather. What we'll do instead is we'll get a bit of a surround here. And we can shift-click to bring ourselves all the way around. And we'll use the ones that are already nearest here to hit them from the back. Let's back up with our huntsman a little bit. Bring Markus this way. And he's just shooting point blank with his anti-large bonuses. And then now, let's go ahead and get back. We'll get a nice full surround. As long as the spearmen hold, we're doing alright. And our archers are being gawed on, but I don't really mind if we take a few casualties there. This Bastillodon is like pissing me off. I was hoping to do a little bit more damage than that to him. You know what, let's use the wagon. Let's get the wagon shooting him. They have great armor piercing. And of course it's going to rampage him. Right into Markus. Alright, go ahead. And here we go. With this nice kind of full surround we managed to do. All we need to do now is pump a little bit of archer fire into here, and we should be able to rout most of this. Bastillodon is pissing me off. If he was breaking instead of like rampaging into Markus, we'd have something. There's really no reason to sit still with Markus. He can fire while moving, but he was getting bowled over earlier. Shoot the Saurus warriors. We could even charge in like chariots with the wagons, and I think what we're going to want to do now is to attempt to chase off some of these units. We don't want them coming back. If we even can, I guess. There's no guarantee. Let's just keep running our archers away from that Old Blood. Get our wagons here. They're nearly out of ammo. So what we're going to do is we're just going to charge in here and see if we can't break them. Marcus gets tossed into a boulder. God, I hate you, Bastillodon. You know what? Turn. Shoot the Bastillodon. And the war wagons are not really chariots. They're not great in melee. But they are heavily armored and they have a lot of HP. So I guess if you needed to, you could use them as a bit of a damage sponge. Maybe we can knock over, for instance, this Old Blood here. And we're out of ammo now. So let's just go see if we can occupy that guy's attention. Bastillodon, are you dead yet? Okay, check this out. So we're going to take that focus shot. Hopefully it doesn't just, like, hit the trees. But it's such a fickle line of sight. He's only got 2 HP left. That's kind of a waste. But I just wanted to show you guys the animation because it's really cool. And meanwhile, Marcus is shooting into the Old Blood. And he's going to have a hard time destroying any of these models. But yeah, we need to chase. On hard, the AI gets a few different bonuses to their leadership. A full surround like that on normal would have just completely chased them off. Keep running our archers. But you gotta have something to deal with these guys. And what we'll try and do here is just distract them with the war wagons while we shoot them from different angles with our archers. Plus Wulfhart, who has tons of ammo left. We just want to distract him. Hopefully they don't get so far away that they return. The Skink cohort do. The Saurus are the ones we're really worried about, but there's only 15 of them left, and we're right on their tail. Spearmen will just keep them here. Definitely want to keep pulling out. Let's see if we can land this. So you see that big bullseye goes off. He does a sick, like, wind-up animation. And it shouldn't do a ton of damage. Actually, it did. It did a good bit of damage. Wow. So, guys, another thing I don't like to do is cheese the AI. That's not my style. I could have done something where I deployed, like, way in the trees and just kited around with the war wagons. That's definitely an option. With the war wagon plus Wulfhart, that probably would have been extremely easy. But it would have really diminished the challenge of this battle. And this was fun. I mean, I had to deal with a Bastillodon running wild. I had to figure out how to fully surround our enemies. I had to make good use of our war wagons. And I think our archers and our huntsmen did admirably. And we want to end this battle. There's something to be said for taking out certain enemies. But the lords, you want to leave them at like the sliver of HP. That way they don't just get a fresh one at the end of the battle. So that would be a pretty big rookie mistake if I had killed him on accident. But the Bastillodon is going to come back for round 2. He's only got 2 HP. I would think he'd be dead, but he's a single entity, so I don't know.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, he's still considered to be alive, but no more Saurus warriors and 1 less Skink cohort.
Bring out the nooses.
So we've got options here. Pretty crummy first item. The Lich Bone Pendant is, I mean, it's okay. If we find ourselves going up against a bunch of casters, we'll just put it on Wulfhart for now. That'll give him an extra 25% magic resistance. And then here we have a choice between pardoning the captives or giving ourselves leadership. We don't need leadership. We'll take the money. And as far as replenishment goes, casualty replenishment, we'll have a ton of that very soon. Alright, so there's the pendant. We're just going to run in here and finish them off. And then if we can, we'll go ahead and take Chotek this turn. But they also, I mean, they have cavalry as well. So that might be a little scary. I think what we'll do instead is kill him, try and get back to our own land, and then recruit. I think that's our best bet. Let's see, have we discovered the vampires yet? I think we have. I saw that on the right-hand side. So we should be able to declare war on these guys. Turn 1.
Straight to the blank with you.
Yeah. Nobody likes you. They're at war with the Vampire Coast. We haven't discovered them yet. Otherwise, we could make some, like, overtures. Say, like, hey, man, we'll join your war and maybe make a friend out of one of the Vampire Coast factions. But as it stands, we're going to do that. And here we go. So, Von Hall joins the expedition. Oh, man, I'm stoked. So, while following a trail through the dense jungle canopy, you stumbled upon a clearing strewn with dead bodies. They looked like seafarers, senior admiralty of some sort perhaps, but stranger still was the fact that each had a stake through their chest and was decapitated. On closer inspection, you realize they were already dead before they met this gruesome fate. In fact, not dead, but undead. Vampires. A few nights later, a mysterious man emerged from the jungle, introducing himself as Hertwig von Hall. His garb indicated he was a witch hunter of the Empire, but he revealed himself to be the healer you have been seeking. Explaining your cause to him, you asked him to join the expedition. He accepted, but on one condition, that you in return help him with his own mission in Lustria. So very cool, and now we have access to a unique witch hunter, Hertwig von Hall. So, but instead of adding him to our party, which I would love to do, what instead we need to do is send him traveling. So we need to go to Planhopek to try and to get this guy. So did I miss something? Okay, so I should have read this first, guys, before unlocking him. That way we can kind of do the narrative together, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. So, let me see what this says. Move one hero to a regions owned by the following race. That gives him focused. I mean, that's cool. Okay, so let me read this. A necklace of fangs. This would have made our last reading make a little bit more sense. So it says, what a God's forsaken place this truly is. It seems that not a day goes by without the news of some horrible tropical disease striking some poor settler down. The most innocuous cut or scratch sustained here can become horribly infected within hours, making every trek into the jungle a highly risky endeavor indeed. Perhaps by fate, word has reached me of a mysterious individual who shadows the Empire's troops in the deep jungle, patching up the wounds of the gravely injured left behind following skirmishes with the lizards. Men thought to be well within Moore's deathly embrace have been mysteriously brought back from the brink by someone who clearly has advanced medical training. In the lore, this guy's kind of a mishmash of characters, one of which is a doctor. And it says, even with the most horrendous injuries clean, disinfected, and stitched, as if by the hands of the most highly trained physician in all of the Empire. Our very own injured relate to me their encounters with this healer, not remembering much other than glimpses of a necklace of fangs. Trophies, perhaps? I have been in few environments more treacherous to man than Lustria. It goes without saying that for us to endure here, we should somehow reach out to this medic and persuade them to join our cause. So now what we need to do is try and bring him to the Vampire Coast, which is really right there. And I'm thinking a slight detour might be in order. We can maybe use him to assassinate, spend a little bit of gold, or to try and wreck the garrison at the place we're trying to fight. Something like that, just to use his abilities, and that might give him a level up if he's successful. But if he fails, it could kill him, or, well, not kill him, I think he's immortal, but it could put him out of commission for several turns, and then that would really set us back. So we're going to we're going to read this bit later, because I don't think we're going to do that. I think we're going to send him straight down to try and help us recruit our buddy here, whose name we do not yet know. But let's go ahead and read his blurb as well. So, chivalrous fools. It caught my attention recently to hear of a swordsman who had become armyless after miraculously escaping a slaughter at the hands of the lizard beasts. A possible recruit? If my memory serves me correctly, he had arrived months earlier on a galleon that was flying a flag of a Bretonnian dukedom unknown to me. Though I know little of the land of chivalry, he had disembarked with a group of men who looked vaguely knightly in appearance, but it was unclear whether they were individuals of any important political status. Their retinue was quite poorly equipped, as were they themselves. After buying what additional weapons and supplies they could from the colonists, they foolhardily headed straight into the jungle. Whether out of prudence or curiosity, I had them followed and watched. Unsurprisingly, word eventually returned that Bretonnians were ill prepared for their foray, losing half their retinue to disease and attacks, before stumbling into the midst surrounding the ancient temple city of Planhopek. Thinking it was uninhabited, they attempted to plunder the city, but instead suffered a catastrophic slaughter at the hands of the lizardmen and a painfully predictable ambush. The one survivor, this swordsman, had somehow fought himself out of the trap and was still out there. Awesome. So that is straight out of his lore. That's exactly what he did. He brought a bunch of men into an entire, city of lizardmen, thinking it was abandoned, walked straight in, started cherry-picking jewels, and got snatched up by some Saurus. So, let that be an example to all men. So what I was thinking here, like I said, we could come here and try and block the army or, you know, mess with these guys. We could send him over here, which would probably take 2 or 3 turns. But I think instead we're going to come right down here. Save a little bit of gold. We don't need to mess with this army. We've crippled them so much that we should be fine. And then next turn we should be okay. This is considered the province. We might not need to move all that distance. Alright, let's go ahead and take them down. Also, notice I kind of nicely spread the damage out on all of our units. No one had to die. Even Marcus taking this much damage is not a big deal because we will replenish that in time.
Kill to protect.
And here we go. So, I mean, this is crazy. Let's actually do an experiment here. I don't trust auto-resolve. And if you've played this game for long enough, you know why. Auto-resolve is pretty garbage. I wouldn't be surprised if I did this and it, like, killed off one of my units. But this is really not worth fighting. So let's see. We quick save the game, and if we have to, we'll reload it. Alright, that was fair. That was close enough to the end that I think it was appropriate to auto-resolve.
I've no time for human baggage.
Alright, Sword of Swift Slaying. Sword of the Tongue Twister. And that's going to give us a charge bonus plus melee attack. And we're going to level off of that quite nicely. And I like taking the gold. If I think I can get away with having a penalty to casualty replenishment, I will 100% get away with it.
Gain experience over time, my lord. Be sure to guide their development to
Okay.
your advantage.
Let's
We are vanquished.
let's not have those. I don't need any tips from the advisor. But like I said, I just installed this on my new computer, so some of the settings might be a little wonky. Hopefully the audio is great for you guys. So we get charge bonus, melee attack, not the most important things for our current character. If we could take this turn 1, that would be amazing. And I think we could, but at great loss. This multiple Saurus, lots of javelins, riders here that we have no real way to counter. So what we're going to do is instead, we're going to walk back, and we're going to recruit. So I like in the beginning of the game to recruit units I know I'm going to get rid of fairly soon, and to keep it cheap. Right, it's going to be a good way to make sure that our economy doesn't run out of control. Let's get 1 more archer. And I kind of just want to get 2 spearmen. Call that good. Swordsmen, of course, match up better versus skinks and Saurus. But the spearmen are significantly cheaper. We're saving 50 gold per turn. And at the end of the day, when I start getting much better units, and I'm just getting rid of these swordsmen anyway, instead of getting rid of swordsmen next time, I'll be getting rid of just cheap spearmen. And I won't care whether or not they are leveled. And Free Company Militia, I think we'll probably ignore them unless we start getting multiple stacks and we think they're cool. They're a great unit, but you can see, of course, they're a much more expensive hybrid unit. And we're going to be trying to make use of mostly new units for this playthrough. Alright, so now we finally get into this. We picked up a level, and before you even ask, Route Marcher is always step number 1. Honestly, should have equipped this or picked this before we moved a second time. But that's what we want. And man, we have a lot of stuff to look at. So one of the best things to do in any campaign, especially hard campaigns, is to try and lower the upkeep reduction on your units. And to that end, Quartermaster is amazing. So that would be 65% upkeep reduction on our Huntsmen, which I think are going to be our later game option versus the Lizardmen. Archers will be phased out eventually, probably relatively soon. But when we start getting more expensive things, Hellblaster volley guns and whatever else, all kinds of crazy stuff, we'll be happy to have this upkeep reduction. And over the course of maybe a 100-turn long campaign, this will really, really add up. Plus, Lightning Strike will probably save us from a lot of heartache, and casualty replenishment rate is also great. So don't sleep on the blue skill, guys. Iron Disciplinarian could also be useful for us as we try to stabilize our empire later on. I'm not expecting attrition to be a problem. If we run into a lot of Skaven, Fervent can be okay. But the meat and potatoes here are going to be in his unique lines. And he's actually got 2. So best of the best, increased recruitment rank for all units. I like that. Let's actually see. Could we get that turn 1? We cannot. What we could get is Focus Shot, which would lead us into some of these, which are pretty strong. But Executioner, that looks awesome. It replaces Focus Shot. Okay. And then Grand Hunts Marshal gives our entire army Vanguard deployment. Of course, we're going to want to get that as soon as possible. Armor Sundering attacks. Great. Double shot ammunition, extra projectiles for Huntsmen. We're going to want that, of course. More upkeep reduction for Huntsmen and Archers. Okay, we can't get this till level 10, so we're a bit off in terms of getting that. But we stack this casualty replenishment rate, this upkeep reduction with the ones that we're looking at here. And of course, we're talking like far into our campaign, but those are some pretty sizable bonuses. And for the most part, we definitely want Hunter's Snare. Whether or not we get Hunter's Trap, though, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to make it this far down the line. And then, of course, also, it would be nice to get... under Pistol Corps, perhaps? Yeah, so this is more ammunition, more missile damage for our Huntsmen again. We can make our Huntsmen just incredible damage dealers. And I think that's what we might end up doing. And then Sharpshooter here for even more stuff. So for those of you who've never seen any of this before, we'll definitely go into more detail as we get into it. But that's pretty good for me. So let's get Route Marcher. Good to go.
Mission accomplished.
Is that a good turn 1? Probably. For this campaign, that's probably a very good turn 1. And then next turn, we'll go and take Chotek. Whether or not they have an army that spawns there, we don't know. But I think we're good. Am I forgetting anything? We can very quickly check the diplomacy again to see if we discovered perhaps another group that would be nice to us. The Blue Vipers here. They hate the same people we hate, but they're also at war with the New World colonies. They might end up liking us at some point, which is crazy. So we don't need to fight them until the time is right. Okay. Alright, Savage Orcs. I see you. Alright, and let's go ahead and intern. We can go ahead and speed it up. No reason to watch everything. But we see Mazdamundi here. It looked like he just got crushed at the Monolith of the Fallen Gods. Wow. I mean, maybe. Maybe it's just taking a second for it to resolve. But that's interesting. It looked like he went in there and got defeated. Because they still have a garrison of 2 units. Oh my god, those turn times, guys. If Mortal Empires gets turn times like that, I will be so happy. And I would love to go into the sea to take some of these treasures. Okay, they didn't spawn anything. And we're a little bit replenished. And a little bit extra units that we can use to take the brunt of our fighting.
Seek out the heretics.
Let's move a little bit. I think we're in the air, we're in the zone.
For Sigmar.
Man, are we really not close enough to that place? Let's check this out. See if we can zoom in exactly where we want to be. Okay, we need to come down just a bit further.
Show me the accused.
Huh, okay. Because sometimes you just have to get into the territory. So if you see here it says... Yeah, we need to get into here. Where does this start? Like right here? So once we kind of cross this line, it should trigger. So next turn.
Unflinching.
So let's go in here and demolish these guys and unite our province.
They will fall.
Quick save it up. Have to be super aware of the cavalry this time. Because they pose a significant threat to our war wagons. So we're not going to be able to, have the mobility advantage this time. And we might want to stay a little bit higher and tighter. Don't want to underestimate the speed of the skinks. But what we can still probably use is Markus Wulfhart to force them to come to us. He's basically an artillery piece. And if we take a nice... If we take a nice high ground position here, which this kind of is, we should have an unobstructed view for our archers to fire from. We almost want to sit as far back. Corner camping would be fine, but we don't necessarily need to do that. Let's make it so that we stand and fight. We'll do our archers first. And like I said, I think we're going to keep ourselves tucked in here. On guard mode.
Spearmen! Our weapons are yours!
These spearmen are going to be out front.
At your service!
And then these guys are going to be in like a secondary line here in the center. And then we'll use these guys as needed to cover us, hopefully, from any cavalry charges.
For the Emperor.
Alright. And yeah, might as well put him in a high group as well. No big deal. And we can bring him up to here. That looks fine.
Spearmen.
But what I kind of want to do is let's put them a little bit further out. There we go. Alright, and we just need to move right off the bat. The skinks deployed right on top of us. They can't fire while moving, though. And we kill 5 of them with the first shot. Beautiful. He's going to get poisoned, but that's okay. They're not going to catch him. And if they get close, he'll just get faster. God, brutal shots. Huntsmen need to target the cavalry. Let's just let everything target the cavalry for now, until the Saurus get into range. And they're going straight into the front line. So if they're going to do that, I'm going to pull my spearmen up and through. Yeah, let's just shoot them to pieces. No lord here. They are considered large foes, so we don't want to sit and take the charge from them. Let's get our spearmen in the front. And if they try and do a cycle charge, we'll be able to take them out. And now we'll use our archers for the Saurus fights on the flanks. And I'm kind of trying to get you guys some cinematic views here. I don't know what that shot was. That was pretty terrible. See if we can finish them off. Surprisingly difficult battle without much shielded infantry. Our spearmen here buckled on the flanks. That's no good. Swordsmen, get in there. There are a lot of skinks for us to fight. We need to break these things ASAP. Alright, Marcus, there you go. Let's try and get these off to the flanks so we can shoot into their sides. Spearmen have rallied, bring them back. Come on. Alright. The Saurus are what I'm the most worried about. And now we're kind of hammering them, which is good. Don't think they'll come back. I mean, they could. The swordsmen will probably break. See if we can chase these guys and get them to stop. And we'll get these into melee, these war wagons. As long as they're running, they're not shooting. Some of them still have a lot of ammo. God, there's so many Saurus. Saurus are such amazing early game units. Alright, time to run. They've turned. Once we get them to run, though, we definitely just need to chase them into oblivion. And let's use Wulfhart to shoot into these blobs here. I have no idea how much damage this does. Oh, you can't use it versus a single entity. That makes sense. Or versus a unit that's not a single entity. Alright, and these Saurus have rampaged into our archers, which is horrible. Yeah, and a couple more shots should shatter these things. We don't really need to pay too much attention to them. Just gotta tie down these skinks in melee. And of course, this is a super atrocious fight. We might lose these swordsmen here. Only 6 of them left, and they managed to at least rout off the battlefield. Let's take it off guard mode. Of course, we don't have to do it piecemeal like that. We can do something like this. While we have hot groups. And just keep chasing the skinks as much as we can. No guard mode anymore. Guard mode is what you want to use if you just want to make sure that your units stay still in their respective formations. Marcus takes a huge shot there into those Saurus warriors, really making sure they don't come back. And there's a lot of weird hills in this area. So we got to be careful who we shoot at. Yeah, let's charge into melee. What are you doing, man? Somehow melee only mode went on. Did I hit a button? Never know. Tie them down, and there we go. That's all we needed. We needed their leadership to finally run off the battlefield. And in the meantime, we just had to chase them enough to mitigate losses. There's absolutely no value to continuing to fight them. This is a garrison. So we're not going to be getting, like, you know, bonus experience or anything like that. I hope all these units survived. Though it's probably a pretty close thing. But look at the kills on these Saurus. Empire, give me great swords. We can stand and bang. Yeah, we did lose. We lost one unit. That's rough. That sets us back a couple hundred gold, but we did it. And man, we're getting like the worst items. The Other's Trickster Shards lowers magic resistance in an AoE around self. It's terrible. You can put it on like a paladin. Like maybe we put it on our paladin and then we cast like a vortex spell on top of him and let him fight in a blob, and then that way you can kind of set up enemies, lower their magic resistance, and they take more damage. But that was fine. Let's just go ahead and occupy. And our province is now secured. Alright, and we get a bonus 500 gold. That'll make up for that loss we just incurred. And our hostility rating has gone up to hostile level 1. Alright, so your military activity has heightened the enemy's aggression towards the expedition, increasing the hostility level. Imperial supplies will now be dispatched more often. Very good. So now we have to maintain control of 2 provinces, either by direct ownership or through vassals and military alliances. If we are to build a future here, Wulfhart, we must secure the entire province. Still don't know why you're giving me advice, little buddy, but I'll take it, I suppose. And here, I think, honestly, let's just get multiple swordsman units. For our archers to be effective, we need to have a stronger front line. And here, it would be great to get into this. Any that we absolutely have to have. I mean, this is a nice aura. But I think we start unlocking public order bonuses. Maybe a little recruitment cost reduction. And if we were to do that, we would, of course, cancel our swordsmen and then re-recruit them. It's 3%. I don't really care for this, because once I get a full stat kitted out, this will become 3 dead points. But the idea is we need to get 4 so that we can get Lightning Strike and the upkeep reduction. So let's get Iron Disciplinarian. And I know this isn't the most exciting start as far as, you know, how we're building him out. But let's see what we can do here. So growth is usually the key early game. We got to get to these tier 3, tier 4 buildings as fast as possible. Tax rate is nice just for more money. If we find ourselves hurting on money, we'll switch it out. And if our public order was just atrocious, which it won't be soon, this minus 10 will go away. That's only because we conquered the lands. But once that goes away, we should be fine. So let's just go ahead and try and get ourselves some growth. Maybe a little bit of extra money from our trade agreement. And yeah, that's a pretty valuable turn. And we may as well try and check to see if someone wants to give us any money.
What is your business?
No, they don't even want military access anymore, but they are improving. They'll want certain things later as we increase in favorability with them. All right. Let's see what else we have going on. Our next target, we are at war with these guys, though we don't really need to be.
I am a pirate of the great.
If they wanted a peace treaty, we would probably take it. Let's take a second and look at the lands around us. So, Tlax, Huatek, and then this place we haven't discovered yet here, Juan Hopek, is down here. So this is one province right next to us. We can consider trying to take that. There's Tlaxlan, which I think is going to be our next target. It's a pretty unupgraded capital city, which we're going to want to take. And if we don't get to them soon, they'll be spitting out, you know, stacks at us, which we don't want to happen. This might be Skaven here, but if not, but this will lead us surely into war with the orcs, which we may or may not want to do. I could definitely see ignoring them for as long as possible, but Yeah, it's a little early to call that, but it's good to start planning now for when the good times are no longer upon us, as that technology said. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and go to the next turn. So guys, it was my birthday yesterday. Turned a big 3-0. Went out to dinner with my family. Got some awesome ribs, mac and cheese, baked potato, and I go to eat my leftovers today and realize that the waitress did not put in my leftover mac and cheese. I was like, she just retroactively ruined my entire birthday. And it wasn't like some cheap American cheese, mac and cheese, like, you know, some garbage stuff. This was like high-end with Gruyere and special Parmesan and stuff. It was the real deal. Recruit a unique hunter. We've already done that. So we're kind of a little bit ahead of the curve. So Wulfhart, there are potential recruits here that might serve alongside our forces with a little persuasion. Make the effort to seek out these heroes and bring them on side. We did it. Raise hostility level to very hostile, which is like level 2. So maybe another attack once we get down here. And I think once we get this to level 2, then we get the Waystalker. Alright, so Hunts Marshal, your task is clear. Strike a fatal blow to the monsters who dare to tread Imperial lands. Let them know who they are dealing with. Alright. So of course, as we replenish, we want to stay inside of our own territory. Let's see what the game thinks is the fastest route. Okay. We'll head this way. And hopefully that'll allow us to catch any armies that may or may not be coming this way. What we might do is try and ambush once we get closer. That might be a great strategy. So, crossbowmen are significantly better than archers. You'll see their stats are almost identical, except a little bit more ammo, and the 40 range is honestly the big deal. They also have slightly higher armor piercing values, so they're worth it. But we have 44 upkeep on these dudes. So let's grab 2 more archers, and let's grab another unit of swordsmen. And that's what we're going to do this turn. And as we get closer, we'll be replenishing, recruiting, and making our dreams come true. Okay. There we go. And like I said, we didn't have to use all of our movement to do that. So recruit a unique hunter. Very good. And that is done. So Roderick joins the expedition. Let's actually, yeah, let's go off of that real quick, and we'll take a second to read before we really get into his stuff. And since we're sitting still, let's add him to our fight. So successfully carry out any hero action. Done. Another 500 gold into our coffers. Simply joining an army is considered an action. He does have training. And also, while I'm thinking about it, we can unequip that. I don't think we actually need to unequip it to do that, but there we go. So the other's Trickster's Shard, and we can also give him the pendant. So he'll be super resistant to magic, and we can just shoot magic his way once we finally get a wizard. But anyway, so what I wanted to do was read his, let's read his, his Chivalrous Fools here. Oh, we did that already. Let's read, in that case, let's go back to our, oh man, where are they? Events? Here we go. And let's read this together. So Roderick joins the expedition. Once you'd brought your forces to mist surrounding the temple city of Juan Hopek, it did not take long for the Bretonnian swordsman to arrive at your camp. He revealed himself as being no mere soldier, but in fact a noble by the name of Roderick Languel, who'd seen his entire retinue, we'll just call him Roderick, his entire retinue slaughtered whilst on an expedition into Lustria. With the massacre of his men, Roderick was now, without an army or indeed a purpose. With a vengeful tone in his voice, he told you he was willing to offer his knowledge of Juan Hopek's defenses to enable a successful siege by your force, which of course you accepted. So now we have a paladin in our group, and we definitely want to see what he wants us to do. He wants us to capture and occupy this place. That makes sense as well. Alright, and now to get the dwarf, we need to venture to the northern spine, which will take several more turns, of course. But we're already kind of well on our way, and we didn't waste all of our points. Let's see, how far is it? Okay, that's considered the northern spine. How far do we really have to go? Alright, that'll take several turns. 1, 2, 3, probably 4 turns at least. And then we'll have the engineer. And it sucks because I want to use him in my army, If he was in my army for that last battle, you know, it would have been so much easier. As far as special skills, he doesn't seem to really have any. As far as anything that really sets him apart, I do love that he has this ward save. There's some of my favorite units in the game, the Witch Hunters, and I try and put them in my armies whenever I can. I think they're really fun.
Tracker of this. The land provides all I need.
Alright, no changes yet. But at the very least, we can now see the army arrayed before us. Lots of skink cohorts, which we do struggle with a bit. At least they're not building tons of Saurus. Their garrison is pretty weak. It is 4 Saurus warriors and more skink. We're going to really need a top tier army to get in there and crack this. And we're going to have to play our siege really smart once we finally get there. I don't think we're going to try and hold out forever and, you know, smother them in that way. What I would love to do is get here and then go into ambush stance and try and draw out their army into attacking me. We'll see if we can't do that. I feel like there's a good bet we can. And of course, want to use the fast forward so we don't have to watch everyone's movements. They're not really relevant to us at this point. In the future, maybe, but right now, no. I don't need to know what Silastra is doing. Probably a bunch of lame stuff. Alright, here we go. And nice, we get our first Imperial supplies. So this is really going to cut down on our gold spending. It says the expedition may have only just begun, but the Emperor demands progress. To aid you, the Imperial Quartermaster sends word of reinforcements ready to dispatch to the expedition. The 4 main divisions of the Empire's military each has a package ready. Choose whose shipment you would like to receive. So we can get 2 halberdiers, 2 huntsmen, and a greatsword? Oh my god. That's pretty good. Those are all units I would love to have in my army. 3 Empire Knights and 2 Pistoliers. I would love to have cavalry. Artillery, 1 Great Cannon, 1 Outrider with Grenade Launcher. The Great Cannon allows us to attack Siege, to have Siege Attacker as part of our kit. So we don't have to, you know, make any type of Siege equipment. But I think we were going to do that anyway because we don't have any monstrous units or anything like that to break down a wall or a gate. So the Great Cannon is nice. I would love to get that. But then we also have the Imperial Engineers. So a mortar, which is probably more useful, to be honest, than a Great Cannon at this point. There's just too much terrain in these Lustrian maps. You find it very hard to use a Great Cannon. And then another War Wagon, which we've made good use of, but I think in the upcoming siege, they will have very little use. They won't be able to shoot up at the wall. They can't climb the wall. They won't be able to break down the gates. They're just going to be super awkward. Whereas the mortar would be amazing. But that's 1 unit. I can't justify taking like 1 mortar over, you know, I know these 5 would be awesome. I would love some Pistoliers to help me kite. You know, the Empire Knights would do a great job at protecting our back line and charging into the front line. They're pretty good versus Saurus, especially good against Skinks. And then these infantry units, plus the Huntsmen, let's not forget, which I don't have access to for quite some time. And a greatsword, which I won't get for a while, I'm sure. This is a pretty important decision. Right now, I'm leaning towards infantry, as boring as that is. Just because they are going to be what helps us in the upcoming siege. And I think that's important. Alright, so they're ready for recruitment.
Markus Wulfhart.
Which means I think that we can go here to the recruitment from Imperial Supplies. And we just snatch them up. Alright, so what we're going to do here, we're going to move. So this is kind of like a rookie mistake that's very easy to make. So something that we could do is recruit them immediately, right? But we're not fighting this turn. Almost certainly. And if we are fighting this turn, it'll be an ambush. In which case, we'll win anyway. So instead of having on the books another 225, 320 plus 26, and 162 debt, you know, going on to us, we can basically make that much money next turn by recruiting them at the last possible second. I'm assuming you can only recruit them when you're inside your own territory. That makes sense to me. And guys, check out the the special units. Emperor's Wrath, the Knights of War. I want these guys so bad. And these are just the standard units that they're going to send to us at some point. A Luminarch would be cool. Now, if they had wanted to give us a War Wagon and a War Wagon Mortar, I might have been more inclined to take that. And look at this, the Obstinate Gyrocopter. That's awesome. Special Gyrocopter. What is it? What does it have? Let's pin it. It has standard bombs. Anything special? I was hoping this thing would have like a flamethrower shot, but maybe it doesn't, because they had some pictures where it showed a gyrocopter shooting fire. So anyway, guys, what we're gonna do here is chill. Let's manually keep sending him down. It'll do it automatically once you choose a path. But as I discover people, Shockwave here is probably rats. Anytime you see a ruin, you have to expect rats. Have we discovered any new groups?
Sir, come in peace.
We're not going to be fighting this turn. Let's just see if they'll take that. Yeah, I didn't think they would, which is why I offered it. I always like to get money out of my agreements. And here we will... So if we add in these last 5, we'll be at 21, which is of course nonsense. So let's go ahead and merge these two together. And that gets rid of one of those units. And actually, we can disband that. And get one more spearman with shields. Nah, that's pointless. We're basically losing gold just to get shields. That's no good. So we'll stick like that. We can't ambush yet. But we'll try and do that next time, guys. I think we're at the end of today's episode. Before we go, though, let's go ahead and upgrade our coastal village. We could save our growth to try and, you know, get to tier 2 here. Which is not a bad idea, because we're going to want very badly to start getting a guardhouse here. Well, not a guardhouse, but basic walls is what we really need to get. As soon as possible, just to make sure that our homelands are secure. You see there the garrison that it provides. There's no unique buildings here, other than the harbor itself. But Chotek here has growth buildings, which also aid in Pistolier and Outrider production, which is cool. But plus 50 growth is great. It's going to make it so that we don't have to build fields. But anyway, we didn't really have to build that because we already have growth on our ports. You know, whatever. But we will probably build that up soon. Grazing pastures. And just try and maximize growth. Really babysit our starting area. So that way we don't have to worry about incursions on multiple fronts. But guys, like I said, that's going to be it for me today. We've recruited 2 heroes. We've begun a war that hopefully we can finish. And our army is quite strong. We'll try and do some ambush strategies at the beginning of the next episode. Potentially, though, we might just go in there. We'll have a full stack next turn regardless. So it might be worth it just to go in and see what we can do. They will be recruiting. They'll have 3 more units, probably just 3 more skinks. So you add that to their garrison. You add that to the strength of their walls. Did they actually increase? No. Okay. And we're in for a tough fight, so wish me luck. But without any further ado, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Once again, my name is Brett. My channel is Good Talk Gaming. And if you guys are interested, I have a Discord channel that you can check out. The link will be in the description down below. And feel free to give me any pointers, tips, tricks, anything like that that you're yelling at your computer screen or your phone screen that I should do. Just put them in the comment section down below. I love interacting with people and talking about this game so much. So, anyway, y'all, look forward to another episode tomorrow. I'll be posting them daily. And, yeah, so without any further ado, I will see you in the next one, guys. Take care.